the first thing you need to recognize is forgiveness has a super powerful frequency. It's like gratitude. It has a super powerful frequency. If I tell you, say thank you right now. So say thank you.
Thank you.
And just keep saying it.
Thank you.
You're smiling,
Thank
you're feeling good. Eventually, if you
Yeah.
say thank you, you can't be angry. When you're in a state of gratitude, it is impossible to be angry when you are in a state of gratitude. When you are in a forgiving place as well, it's impossible to be angry.
So why do you place an emphasis on forgiveness? Why is that a big deal?
I love that you brought that one up. Forgiveness, Scott, is one of the most powerful things we'll ever do. In fact, if you want to talk about thoughts have a frequency. That's a fact, right? Thoughts have a frequency. Every thought you have has a frequency. And you mentioned before about positive and negative thoughts. So no matter whether you're having a super positive thought or a super negative thought, whichever one you're having, it's going to bring what you want to fruition. So if it's super negative and it's like, oh, I'm not worthy, I'm a loser, I'm an idiot, I've dropped my keys, you idiot. We always say that. It's a common one we say.
Yeah.
You idiot. When you drop something, when you break something, when you forget something, oh, you idiot, you loser. The common words that we say to ourselves. And so my point in mentioning this is no matter whether it's super negative or super positive, you will bring what you want to fruition. So be careful where you're placing your thoughts and your time, because the mind goes where energy flows. Your thoughts become your things. These are all just well-known quotes. So why is forgiveness important? The first thing you got to recognize, you need to forgive yourself. The first thing you need to recognize is forgiveness has a super powerful frequency. It's like gratitude. It has a super powerful frequency. If I tell you, say thank you right now. So say thank you.
Thank you.
And just keep saying it.
Thank you.
You're smiling, you're
Thank you.
feeling good. Eventually,
Thank
if
you.
you
Yeah.
say thank you, you can't be angry. When you're in a state of gratitude, it is impossible to be angry when you are in a state of gratitude. When you are in a forgiving place as well, it's impossible to be angry and carry hate with you. If you want to, inverted commas, manifest something into your life, I call it attract goals into your life faster, you've got to first remove the blockages. How are you going to build a house if there's already a shit house on the floor there already? You need to wipe out that foundation and build a solid, stern foundation that you can put your new home onto, correct? This is you. You need to remove the blockages inside of you, and that starts with forgiveness.
How do you do that? So the concept makes sense. What do you do to forgive yourself, to remove those blockages in your life? Because that's an easier thing to say than actually do, because the knee-jerk reaction when you screw something up is going to hate on yourself. Always. 11 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
So this is where my MBS comes in. So you can use, many different forms of going into a deeper state of consciousness, which means not just doing it in the beta state where we are now.
Wait, pause. What's that?
Okay, so the different brainwaves. So you
Yeah.
got, beta, and when you go deep, you go into alpha and theta and delta when you're asleep.
What am I in right now?
Beta.
Okay.
Usually.
Yeah.
So we're talking.
I don't know. I think I'm normal right now, like whatever.
We're sitting here and we're in beta, and how it works is we're at a faster paced brainwave, and on EEG scans you can measure these brainwaves. It's called electroencephalography, if I've said it right, and you can measure these brainwaves. And when you're in an altered state of awareness, which is the alpha or the theta, delta, your brainwaves are much slower, which means your mind, your brain is more impressionable. And that's where you can rewire the brain. So you don't want to try and just say, okay, that's it, I'm going to remove the blockages, they're gone. Because A, you probably don't mean it. But B, when you do it in an altered, calmer state of mind, as I said before, you're more impressionable. You can feed new thoughts and you can rewire the brain. You can create new synaptic connections, strengthen neural pathways, strengthen the connections in the brain that you want to connect to rebuild a version of you. They do it with patients who are coming back from, seizures and things. And
I'm assuming like to artificially change the brain waves. I'm sure a lot of this sometimes is drug induced. Like I'm assuming that if you are taking like some sort of drugs, like that can actually change your brain waves as well.
I guess I don't touch in the, yeah.
No, I'm assuming but what I wanted to point out is like meditation at its core is doing it naturally.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you can use, ayahuasca or crazy things like this.
Yeah.
And some people do.
So that's the same thing that you're doing naturally, but that's really what's happening when you
Totally.
change your state of reality.
Totally. And sorry, I say crazy. It's not crazy. It's just different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your average person would probably say like, oh, I don't want to touch that. I personally never done it. But I know a lot of
Yeah.
people that haven't had successful journeys on it. That's a whole separate topic. But for me, you can go deeper. And it's not just for me, it's for millions, hundreds of millions and billions of people meditating all over planet Earth right now. And that's why I created my MBS method. So the MBS method incorporates ancient breathing techniques with modern day neuroscience, going deeper into altered states of awareness and anchoring in a new belief. Once you're in that ultra calm state, let's phrase it like that, when your parasympathetic nervous system has kicked in, right, over the state that we're in right now, and you let it take over, and your sympathetic nervous system, and it takes over and it takes you into a deeper state where you're more impressionable, where you can now say, okay, I release the things that have gone wrong for me. And by the way, trauma isn't always something major. It doesn't have to be like I went through when I was sexually abused, my body was exploited. It doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be like what happened to me when I was homeless. It doesn't have to be major traumas that led me to that. It could be as small as somebody told you they didn't like you at school. Your teacher told you were never good enough. You were never going to be who you are today. In fact, most of the people who are told that are now huge superstars and are super uber successful individuals. And that's how they've used that trauma to become their cure. And as Rumi, the 16th century poet, once said, let your pain be your cure. You have to let your adversity be your cure, and forgiveness is the first place to do it. So in the MBS method, when you go deeper, we remove in this 15-minute or half an hour meditation, if you want to call it that, while you're in that altered state, you can remove the limiting belief inside of you that is blocking you from actually getting out there and being the version of you you're born to be, the version of you are destined to become. And so it's a very simple process, and it starts with breathing. Because a lot of people like me, I had ADHD and I couldn't meditate very well. I can't meditate. What even is meditation? There's the version of meditation that I teach, there's no dogma attached, no religion. In fact, to most meditation, there's none of that. It's just about connecting with yourself. Forget even higher self, just connecting inward, looking within yourself, being calm, and in that calm state, being more rational.
So once you actually achieve this state, so you're going through this process, you're going through a 15 or 30-minute meditation exercise, and you start to change the state that you're actually in, and you probably are achieving some of that altering from beta to other types of states of consciousness. Then is the exercise that you do and what you teach over to remove some of these beliefs, is that built into the actual meditation, or is that an extra step that you have to tackle? Like if I'm going through the meditation right now, what do I have to do to make sure that I actually accomplish that? If somebody's listening to your meditation, what do they have to do to actually achieve that?
You'll naturally go into that state of flow. You'll naturally go into that altered state of awareness just because of the breathing exercise at the start. That's the difference. So the aim with meditation is to go into that altered state, into that alpha or the theta brainwave state. That's where you want to get to. But this is why I created the MBS, because it incorporates ancient breathing, pranayama, breathing exercise before you do the deep guided work on your mind. So you're already at a very relaxed state because you've been doing this special form of breathing where you're essentially improving these are facts of science around breathing exercises. It improves your blood circulation. It brings fresh oxygen to your body. It improves your immunity. It brings more oxygen to your brain. The checklist is incredible of what breathing exercises categorically do. So now I incorporated ancient breathing techniques, which have been around for years, those breathing techniques into my MBS method.
Understand, okay.
And then when you do it, that's part of it. You're already very calm. So now when you do a deep guided meditation, like a self-hypnosis, you're feeling so calm and relaxed. You're in a deeper state naturally. And if you don't find you are, most people, I mean, I find it's a very, very, very high percentage of people, sort of 98% of people who will have a very, very, very productive experience from it. In fact, I'm maybe even higher, maybe even 99%.
And what is that? So when they come out of the meditation, what is the thing that people will generally feel?
So calm, so relaxed, and free of whatever they let go of. Most people are very emotional when they do the MBS. Most people cry for the majority of the 15, 20, 30-minute exercise. It's a very, very, very deep exercise. And you connect with what we call the inner child. The inner child is just you as a 7-year-old, as a 6-year-old, 5-year-old, imagining yourself. And when you visualize and see your younger 5-year-old self in front of you, it's very hard not to say sorry to them for the pain you've caused them, or forgive yourself for what you've put yourself through. And looking at that young child, it almost, you feel like it is your child. And it's a very, very, very emotional process. And that's how we start to remove the limiting beliefs that are blocking us.
And this seems like a super intense process to go through this. So if somebody wanted to start to include a meditation regimen into their life, is this something you would do every morning?
Absolutely, because you don't
Even though like you're crying through it?
through
Like,
some parts. But
seems
now,
like super stressful.
no, so there's MBS 4 in a child work, which I'm talking about now.
Okay.
MBS for removing something like that you really want to get rid of. And then there's MBS for brain focus, a lunchtime MBS for productivity. And of course, you're not going to sit and
So
cry.
I don't want to do this at work and I'm like bawling my eyes out.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
No,
So, like,
you're probably not going to cry during the one for brain focus. There's one on YouTube right now, and it's we give it to loads of teams. I give it to so many of my corporates that I speak at. This helps you with your brain, productivity and focus and rejuvenation suddenly in the middle of your lunch break. Like you've got 15 minutes, 20 minutes, boom. Do this exercise. You're probably not going to start crying, but you probably are going to go back feeling rejuvenated and energized.